Well, welcome to episode 1 of the Matt Chat podcast. My name is Codie, and this is my friend Ben. We train together here at the farm, which is in my parents' basement. Yeah, I guess like a little bit about me. I'm a purple belt. I've been training jiu-jitsu for like 8 years now. I compete, and I'm looking to get into MMA later this year. Training MMA a lot, so yeah, that is my story.
My name's Ben. I'm a blue belt. Been training for 4 or 5 years now. Training at the farm for a year and a half. We've been going at it out here. Yeah, compete in jiu-jitsu tournaments. Like to train some MMA. Hang out with the boys, get a good sweat, hit a couple subs. I'm a happy guy, yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like Ben and I have known each other for a long time. Like we would have met honestly probably when we were like kids playing hockey, but didn't actually like know each other that well. And then high school. Obviously, we went to the same high school together, separated in, like, when we went to college, university years, and then, so Ben went to Ottawa, and then, I guess, yeah, a year and a half ago, around September-ish, right,
yeah.
In there, I started the farm. We were training here for a fight camp, and Ben came home from Ottawa, and that's when we started training together, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think I saw you on Instagram story, like, couple mats against the wall, a couple puzzle piece mats on the ground. I'm like, yo man, can I come train? And it came out, and there's a few of us out here. There's me, you, Colin, really? 3 of us. And yeah, you guys were beating the shit out of me for probably 6 months. And then word on the street got out, and more people started rolling through. And now shit's kind of popping.
Yeah, it's grown a lot. Yeah, I know, like, I had, like, an exodus from my gym. So I was leaving on my way out of the gym that I was currently training at, and you were kind of on exodus out of Ottawa, yeah. And we ended up, it was, like, perfect timing, came together. Yeah, I know at the beginning there's, like, no space. There's 3 of us and then Brian, basically. Yeah.
Well, and the evolution of it. Now we're in the second room. We got all the walls matted here. There's space for 16 people to be rolling at the same time. Yeah. Whereas before it was probably 8 people max.
Shit.
Got the weights, got the airdyne bike, got the rowing machine. Pull-up bar out there, look out at the field, see the cows, hit your pull-ups, lunges across the lawn. Yeah, no, it's a pretty substantial evolution, I would say.
Yeah. Last year and a half. I know, like, on the Instagram, like, the first post that Joel put together was in May. Or actually, yeah, it was in May, and then you competed shortly after that.
Right.
So that was like kind of when we started like posting that we were actually training here on Instagram. So it's not even been like a full year of like presenting the farm like online. But yeah, and it's grown a lot. Yeah, 2 rooms. But yeah, we also don't have like a professor. We're not like a normal school in that way. Like we're all like lower than brown belt, right? Everyone here is lower than brown belt.
You could be a brown belt, though.
Well,
if there was a professor here, it'd be like, all right, here's the fucking brown belt.
It's funny, yeah. We got some sandbaggers, but...
And not intentionally either, just there is no one here to promote.
Yeah, it's funny, but yeah, we're getting like... we get lots of visitors in, which is sick. Like our training... It's honestly been really good considering, and like we're full no-gi, which is interesting also because you were completely in the gi, and I was also completely in the gi until we started here and switched to no-gi, and now we only do no-gi, which is way better,
way more fun. Yeah, the gi allows you to be just tangled up too much for my liking.
Yeah.
Yeah, the freedom of no gi is a lot of fun. The scrambles, and just the way the sport's going. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah. The gi is not fun at all, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't want to hate on it too much, but yeah. And thinking about MMA too, no gi much more applicable.
Much more applicable.
In my blue belt opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I think like actually it's interesting, like since switching to no gi and then training MMA, like you think like, I don't know, I trained 6 years straight in the gi, and I thought like, oh, I was pretty good self-defense, you know, like got a purple belt, I'm subbing people even like in comp and stuff, and then you start training MMA and you realize like, yo, this jiu-jitsu does not work at all. You know what I mean? It's like such a weird curve when you like realize like, oh, I actually can't defend myself. This is insane.
Yeah. Instead of grips, underhooks, and playing guard is way different in no gi. No collar, no sleeve. And yeah, MMA, got to be ready to eat some shots if you're on your back.
Yeah, totally different game. And like, I feel like gi is like very like pull guard. That's like the sport, right? It's like very like unless you have some good judo, like guys aren't wrestling in the gi. So it's like a huge curve to be like guard pulling, and then realizing like you can't do that. You can't pull guard. Unless you want to get like smashed, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who pulls guard in an MMA fight.
Fake a couple jabs, throw an Imanari roll.
Yeah. No, the learning curve is definitely big. Like realizing, gi jiu-jitsu taught in the sport way, like sport gi, is not good for self-defense. I don't know, people might not like that, but
yeah, people probably won't like that. But yeah, pulling guard, boloing, unless it's winter and they've got a jacket and it's not gonna rip. And I mean, pulling guard, really, like, you don't want to do that in self-defense situation.
No. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like we're sold a lie or something. In my head, it was very eye-opening for me. Just like, yeah, realizing that 6 years of training is just to get punched in the face by like a white belt. Yeah.
And I think it no-gi, if you're athletic too, is a lot more fun. There's a lot more possibility to be somewhat instinctual athletics-wise versus gi, where next thing you know, you're in worm guard and your hamstring's getting torn by your own lapel. Yeah. Not talking from personal experience or anything, but you know.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like the gi, someone new comes in, like there's 100% chance that you're gonna beat them if you've been training in the gi for like any amount of time, especially like blue belt. If you're a blue belt, new guy comes in, he could be like as big and athletic as he wants to be, and you're gonna be able to hold him off with the gi on. You take the gi off and it's not like that at all. You can have like a strong, athletic new person that doesn't know anything, and they can give you like a real issue if you're not able to keep up with their pace or like have the technical ability to hold them off and pin them essentially. Because like Braden, for example, he's a tough one. Came in
for sure,
never trained before. and is a problem, like right off the bat. Yeah. Whereas in the gi, you're not going to get that. He probably would have quit.
Yeah. Yeah, you start hitting him with like spider lasso and shit, and
It's like, what the fuck is this?
What is happening? Which is also cool about the gi is that you can kind of stunt on people in that sense, where it's like, okay, like you have no idea what's even happening right now, and I'm chilling with like 2 grips, and I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the gi too. Good source of revenue for a gym, right? New people come in. Hey, you need a gi to train. We've got these super sweet gis on the wall here. Let's get you sized up. They're only $169. And then, another chunk of change in your pocket, right?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like, there's definitely lots of extra ways to make some cash. Going the gi way. But, on that point though, training wise, like, cause we don't have a professor, we're like fully teaching like kind of like ourselves and, using instructionals in order to like gain new knowledge, which is pretty different than like a traditional way of learning. Like I know for my first 6 years, I went to class and my professor taught technique, I drilled technique, and those are just the techniques that I did. So when I was rolling, I was just doing what professor taught me to do, and I would just emulate that into my rolls. Whereas now, we don't do that. Like, I don't know, how was your experience learning, like, before we started using, like, the instructionals?
Yeah, pretty similar. Where even if you did take the time to study outside of class, unless you have a training partner that's at the gym with you that's willing to chill for 20-30 minutes afterwards, where, okay, here's this thing I've been studying, I want to drill it, or before class, you're really just putting knowledge in that you're trying to implement in a live role. And in like a commercialized or a traditional gym, I've found that the roles are competitive in a sense where guys aren't necessarily wanting to let you try these things. So you're basically restricted to what the professor or what the instructor at that gym is teaching you. And having trained at a few different gyms, Ottawa, here, around the area, you can tell what the professor's game is just by rolling their students, right? You can see what as the kids are saying, the meta in the gym is based off of what the instructor there has been teaching the most, what they think is the best game. Versus, here, where it's like, okay, I think I could benefit from learning these techniques or this style of game. And then you can just come in saying, hey, I've studied this, I want to learn this. Okay, we're going to spend a few nights on that or a couple weeks learning this series, this sequence, this, it's a lot harder to get that opportunity unless you've got like a brother that lives at your place or a girlfriend that's willing to throw on a gi jacket or just willing to go on the ground and let you practice shit. You're not having the same opportunity to learn what you think is best for your game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I find like once we came here, my progress has been like 100 times what it was when we first started training together. Like just like the amount of stuff that I know now compared to what I knew before is like it's a huge difference. And we're not like making any of this stuff up. Like we're just getting it straight from instructionals. So like we're doing like power ride and it's like Craig Jones power ride stuff. Right. We're playing octopus. We're not just like making up like what we're doing. It's like, okay, Craig does this, we do this. Or like, all the guys that we're watching, like Joseph and his tripod passing, like you're super into that. And then I just think that it allows you to build your game how you want to build your game, focus on the things that you want to focus on, and then you're kind of like in control of your own destiny that way a little bit more. This episode is sponsored by www.thefarm.com because we don't have sponsors yet. Go to thefarmmma.com and buy our stuff.
There was an interesting experience where I was in a high school class. It was a grade 10 math class. And I do the attendance, get the class started. And then I noticed this group of guys, and they're looking at me kind of funny. And I can tell that they're, looking at each other, looking at me, looking at each other, looking at me. So I called them out. It's like, what are you looking at me for? Like, what's up? And they're like, oh, yeah, like, do you train at the farm? Like, yeah, I train at the farm. Like, how'd you know? Like, oh, well, we've seen you in some reels on Instagram, I think. Like, how's the training? Like, what do you guys do out there? So I explained the setup, the MMA, the jiu-jitsu, all no-gi, and told them to come out and train. And they were scared. They were scared. I told them everyone's super respectful. You can have faith that you're not going to get hurt. But yeah, they're 15-year-old kids, and we're afraid of getting folded and packed in a suitcase. But yeah, it was cool to know that the social media reach is getting to just random kids. I've never seen these kids before. I think that's also why it's popping off a little bit now, and more people are trying to come out. And I think that's another thing to touch on is the rooms, I guess, are filled with people who want to train hard. Like it's chill. We're doing instructionals. It's not like a bow, do 10 front rolls, back rolls, shrimps across the mat. If you show up 5 minutes late, you're doing 100 push-ups on the side. But it's hard training. So people who don't want to train hard don't last, right? So there's no one that's coming out consistently that is a liability or like a wasted role per se, like I think that there's something to be said about that too, where a more commercialized gym, they have to cater to everyone to an extent to make sure that new people are not getting destroyed and not coming back, right? Whereas it's not like we're crushing everyone new that comes out, but it's a pretty intense experience for someone who hasn't trained before, where it's essentially we're rolling in a sauna. You walk in here halfway through the live training, like how many guys have said like, is there oxygen down here? Like vomiting. Guys who are brown belts, black belts, who've trained for 15 plus years are like, holy shit, I'm fucked right now. So that's another thing to say about the training here is like it is hot.
It's super hot.
It's super hot. I think that there is something to be said about that, where it is the sweat, the humidity is different than most gyms. Yeah,
it's definitely hot. Every time someone comes out for like their first time coming, it's like I tell them in advance, like bring extra clothes, like extra underwear, bring a towel, like it gets hot, and like they don't believe me until they get here, and they realize how hot it is. Yeah, it's like training in a sauna.
Yeah, well, I think when Jordan Pressinger came out,
shameless plug.
Jordan came out. But when he comes out and he came out and trained. He's like, this is the hottest training I've had since being in Vietnam. Yeah. That says something. Yeah. That says something. And whenever we go to other gyms, it's like I need to do a roll or two with like a sweater on to get warmed up to the point where I feel good like here, where getting that good sweat, the whole body feels good, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Every time you go somewhere else, it like feels cold. Even when it's like you're sweating, the air just is cold. Yeah. You like stop rolling. You like, even for like a minute, you start getting dry again.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen
You get
here.
the goosebumps. No.
Yeah. Here you can sit for 5 minutes and you're still just dripping. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like averaging 3.5 pounds of water weight loss per session here.
Yeah. Which is good. It's good for the joints. Keeps us loose, especially when we're training hard, because that's how you get hurt.
Right.
Like, as long as you stay nice and hot, you pretty much, the injury level goes way down. Yeah, just way more flexible. Joints feel better. Body feels better. Yeah.
And good pumps.
Yeah. What do you think about lifting?
Lifting? Coming from like a lifting background, I think lifting logically is really good for jiu-jitsu. I think it's easy to overdo it if we're training 6 days a week. If you're also lifting 4 or 5 days a week, it's going to be too much. Like the toll on your joints, the ability to recover, unless you're rocking that,
Baba.
crazy stack, is going to be too much. So I think lifting, 2-3 times a week is the perfect amount to benefit your rolls, but not hinder your ability to recover, hinder your performance, right? Hitting a chest and back, legs, maybe some sort of shoulders, arms, core, third day, if you're feeling up to it, I think it's perfect. And everyone wants to look a little juicy, right? Like, it's also just going to help staying full. But yeah, I would say that you have to be just a little cautious of going too hard on the lifting, too hard in general, where maybe it's good for 3 weeks and then you're crippled and it's like, okay, I need to take a full week off to recover from this. Like, thinking longevity wise is only something that I've thought about getting older, right? 20 years old, it's like, okay, do anything you say, but yeah, that's what I would say about lifting is there's no way that you can be as good without lifting, but just monitoring what your body can handle. And some people can handle more, some people handle less, and just being conscious of what's too much, what's the right amount, and feeling stronger consistently versus feeling broken down and weaker.
Yeah, definitely. I know, like, I didn't lift at all until you came here, and then you got me on to like actually like lifting weights on a regular basis, and it like completely changed like my body structure, like my squeeze, like my tightness on everything. I'm just like I have like more muscle mass on me, and it like made a huge difference the way like I roll. I know that for certain. And I used to get hurt all the time too, but now I've got like a little bit of padding around everything, and that feels good. So yeah, I think lifting is like crucial. I think like jiu-jitsu in general, it's always technique over strength, right? That's like the big thing is like if you're more technical, then the strength doesn't matter. But I think the strength matters just as much as the technique.
Yeah, I think like it's a good selling point to be like, hey, you don't have to be yoked and strong to be good and be able to beat people up with your jiu-jitsu. But how much better can you be by being strong?
If strength didn't matter, all the best guys wouldn't be on juice.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be lifting. They wouldn't be on juice. And the classic argument: 2 guys, same technique, same jiu-jitsu knowledge and ability. One guy's stronger than the other. Who's gonna win? Who are you gonna put your money on
Stronger
the
guy.
stronger guy, right? Like, yeah, and just like you said, the squeeze. To have just a better squeeze, people to feel like, oh fuck, it's on, you know, to get your grip, to get your body locked. It's good to have that faith in your ability to hold someone.
Absolutely. And I think like it's like an interesting fact as well. Like your squeeze specifically is like a different squeeze than the average person's squeeze. Like I know, like when Ben first started training, he would put me in rear naked chokes, and it was like the tightest squeeze I've ever felt. And then I went to that one comp, buddy had my back, went to put me in a rear naked, and I was like, oh bro, there's no way. there's no way that you're finishing this. Yeah. It's just like a different thing when you have that like strength and squeeze and just isometric, just, yeah. It's a nice thing to have.
For sure. It is silly to think that it's not beneficial, really. Like, yeah. And the forearms. Gotta train the forearm. Yeah, get the little hockey piece of wood doweling the rope down to the weight. Yeah, we were hitting that a lot.
Yeah. You gotta lift.
You gotta
Moral
lift.
of the story.
But not too much. Be smart. And time, like we were saying the other day, you don't want to hit legs on Monday and be cooked for the week. Like maybe if you take Sunday off, you're hitting legs on like Friday or something, and you're sore for the Saturday training, but Sunday you have a full recovery day. By Monday, things are pretty good.
Yeah, I skip legs constantly for that reason.
Dude, it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah. I did that. Yeah, I was saying like the other night there, like 3 weeks ago, hit the legs. Was wrecked for the whole week. Did it on Monday. Terrible decision.
Yeah. Well, and Monday you feel all fucking gung ho, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna bang out this week, legs right off the rip. Like, oh yeah, it was a great workout. Yeah, and then you're cooked. You're cooked.
Yeah, it ruins the entire week.
Yeah. So just being smart, I guess, is really the moral of the story there. Having some sort of thought out plan for lifting, for training. Yeah. High heart rate. Yeah, fuck.
So funny. Right. Yeah, so you're saying that you've been training for like 4 or 5 years?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. That's accurate. 4 or 5 years ago, before that was pretty into like competitive bodybuilding, lifting, diet, everything pretty serious. But it got to a point where I couldn't justify what I needed to do anymore to push it further than what I had. So I wanted to find something else that was a physically demanding hobby that would keep me passionate, right? And I watched UFC with like my dad from, I think we have at home DVDs of UFC 35 through 80 kind of thing, right? So we're watching that back when I'm in grade 7, grade 6. So I had always wanted to get into martial arts. And at first, I just started with Muay Thai. And I can remember going to Muay Thai without any equipment, right? So I'm using like the trial gloves, no shins, and we're learning how to check kicks, right? And I'm just in there completely fish out of water. Like, okay, the professor said to do this. Okay, I'm doing this. And there's probably 3 weeks to a month where I'm going into Muay Thai consistently. No jiu-jitsu yet. No shins, no gloves. And the coaches are telling me like, dude, you got to get shins. Like I've got bruises all the way up from my ankle to my knee. And I think that, okay, I'm just a bitch. I need to get tougher. Like I need to just eat these shin on shin kicks, cause that's the way it is. And then I decided, okay, well, this striking is fun, but I also want to learn how to grapple, learn how to submit people, learn jiu-jitsu. So I decided to go to a couple of jiu-jitsu classes at the same gym, and have felt a larger passion for that. And the ability to roll someone hard without worrying about injuring them, without worrying about getting knocked out myself or getting any sort of brain damage, was really what pushed me to go more into jiu-jitsu versus striking. And then kind of just like fell in love with it, really, where just training, there's no, in my opinion, better feeling than rolling and having a really hard session and walking out of there, chilling with the homies after, sitting on the mats, talking, whatever. It could be about the rolls, it could be about life, anything. But the feeling leaving was better than anything else, really. So that's kind of how I got into it, and then just caught the bug, just kept training. And also the feeling of, wow, I fucking suck. Yeah. I suck. I am getting these random guys out here are just mopping the floor with me. Like, I feel like I'm a strong whatever guy. Oh, I should be able to do this. No, it's not happening. So that also added to the effect of, okay, I need to learn this. And versus bodybuilding, where it's very subjective on what's good, what's not, and there's no skill, really, right? Like, you're getting strong per se in specific planes of motion, right? Like, okay, maybe pressing, I'm really strong, I can bench 315, okay, awesome, I can squat straight up and down, whatever. Versus jiu-jitsu, where, okay, all of a sudden my super strong press is now taken out of this plane of motion that I've only trained it in. I'm not that strong out here anymore. It is not applicable or functional, right? So kind of getting exposed to that was also a wake-up call of like, okay, I need to do this more to get stronger and just better, really, physically just better able to deal with whatever life is going to throw at you. Yeah, I'd say that's kind of how I got into it. Trained at a few different places, trained during COVID, luckily found a gym where I started at that was pretty sick about just throwing up Christmas wrapping paper on the windows at the front, unlocking the back door at the back of the little strip mall, whatever industrial plaza that it was in, and being able to train through COVID. And yeah, I guess still a blue belt, just trying to learn more. Yeah. What about you? What got you into jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, funny actually. I think the first person that told me to train, so I used to not have the best lifestyle, and I was in a hotel with my buddy and wasted, started fighting him, and he was already training, so he put me in a triangle choke. Like, I don't remember, like, he let me go, didn't like put me unconscious or anything, but he was like, bro, like, I've been training, you move your body like well for someone that has no idea what you're doing, you should go and train. And I was like, okay, like, whatever. Maybe I'll go try it out. So I went to the local gym, and I knew a couple of the guys that were in there. It was in the gi, so I went in, started training gi, and I was like, oh, basically like you, just like kind of realized how useless I was, and I was like, yo, so actually it was like I won't name drop, but it was like a 15-year-old girl, okay, and she's like 120 pounds, 115 pounds, 110 maybe even, fuck. I don't even know, man, but she was a blue belt, and she wrecked me, and I was like a 20-year-old man, and I was like, yo, what is this?
Right.
What is this? Yeah. And actually, another guy that actually trains here now with us was also like 15 years old, man. And he was a blue belt at the same gym that I started at, and he used to destroy me as well. And I was like, man, these are kids. These are teenage kids destroying me. And from that point on, I was like, yo, I have to learn how to do this. And then I started wanting to be good at it, and I was like, I can't be doing any of the stuff that I used to be doing in my old lifestyle if I actually want to be good at the sport. So it made me cut out a ton of stuff, 360 my life, and now I have my own spot that we all train in, which is pretty sick. But yeah, so that was like 8 years ago. My buddy's getting married actually in April, so going to the Dominican to see him get married, which is sick. Yeah.
Oos. Inspiration. No, but seriously, like when you mentioned fighting your buddy drunk in a hotel room, I remember before ever training, just like, hey bro, you want to play tap? It's like, okay, we're on like the living room carpet, and I was hitting head and arms before ever training. That was like the only thing that I knew. Blast double and mount head and arm. Still something that my game relies upon. But that was like from the UFC that I'd watched, that was what my body resorted to. And it was fun. And then, I got wrecked by a kid much younger than me, much lighter at the time, probably pushing like 190, 195, and this 130 pound kid just dancing on me, really. I had nothing to oppose what he wanted to do, and it is a good motivator. Yeah, definitely, yeah. You get smashed by a child, and you're like, yo, never again. I need to get good at this. Yeah. There could not be children walking around that can fuck me up. Yeah. And then it's also super fun to be in that situation again, where buddies are like, let's play tap. And you're like, please, man, I was waiting for you to ask. And then, just stunting on them, really. Just hitting crazy shit that anyone who's not trained would have no idea that it's even a thing. Right? And then next thing you know, they're like, oh shit, my arm's about to fucking break, or I'm about to go unconscious. I need to tap. I need to get out of this. Even just getting people to tap from pressure, right? It's like, come on, bro. Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is sick. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, it might take like a certain kind of person to join and get wrecked and keep coming, and be like, I'm gonna stick it through and figure out how to get good at this. It definitely takes a certain person for sure, because the first solid chunk of time, even after I'd been training for like 2 or 3 years and then came down here, you and Colin were wrecking me every single session. I think it took 4 months before I ever got a sub, and I drive home and I'm like, I don't even know if that was legit. Like, I think they might have just probably just gave me that sub as a gift to be like, yo dude, don't get too demoralized, you know? But you have to be willing to stick it out, whether that's like, I don't know if you would call that like toughness or willingness to like grind, I guess. You're showing up day in, day out to like knowingly driving to the place being like, okay, this is going to be fucking rough. Like, I can remember probably 4 or 5 months into training, going to the bathroom, throwing up in the bathroom, stepping out. There's like 4 minutes left in the round. And the professor coach at the gym sees me and goes, "Hey, why aren't you training?" And at the time, white belt, I'm like, "I need to go to the bathroom." Meanwhile, I just threw up in there. It was like on the brink of death. And he points over across the mat and it's like, "That guy's doesn't have a partner either. Go train with him." And it's this like 280, 300 pound guy. And I'm like, "Oh, sick." Like, yeah, my 5'5", 170. I'm going to go over there after just yakking, feeling like literally I'm going to pass out. I'm going to go train with him. And just doing it because it was like, well, am I going to argue with this guy and say, "No, I'm feeling like shit, man. I'm not going to train." No, it's like, okay, I'll go do this. And I can still remember it so vividly. I get him in a Kimura with his wrist behind his back, behind his hip. And I think it was from close guard. And I was opening up and really extending into this. At the point, I'm pretty strong, feel like I'm pretty strong. And this guy just postured up and just swung my whole body around and just set me back down in front of him. Fully locked Kimura, like literally behind his back. He just... boom. Survived the round, survived another round or two, yacked again, drove home, windows down, pulled over on the way home, yacked again. But yeah, like to me, that pretty sick. What else in life is pushing you to that extent, right? Like where else are you needing to or feeling helpless, essentially, of just like, I might pass out. I might just spew here on the mats, which would be pretty catastrophic, really. Like, I'm new to this place and I'm just vomiting on the training surface where guys are putting their face and everything. So yeah, that it takes, I think, a certain person who's willing to push through that. And you know, maybe certain places are better at easing people in and shying them away from the real training experience, right? But realistically, I think you have to be willing to get through that 6-8 month segment where you are getting fucked every single time you're training. Yeah. Yeah, I know here I don't know. We're kind of a small space, so we're looking for certain kinds of people. But, and we're like finding them, which is nice. Like, I feel like it's almost they're finding us, right?
Yeah.
And the people who aren't, like there's been a handful of people who've come in and trained once, been very, very gung-ho, get to the end of training and then you never see them again, right? And not like we're bullying them on the mats or anything. It's just the experience of rolling a few rounds and going through a class where it is maybe too much. Yeah,
which is like in that sense we're not really super traditional either, of just like everyone will fit in, you know? I feel like anyone can fit in if you're willing to like push through being uncomfortable. Right. Like we're not gonna lower our level of training to fit someone else in. Like if you're not meeting our training requirements, then like you just have to stick it out until you can. Like you have to come up to us is kind of how we treat it, which I think is better anyways, because it makes people decide like, do I actually want to be good at this or do I want to go do something else, you know?
Oh, and just selfishly better training partners for us too, right? Like you don't have I don't even know how to like say it nicely, but like
Plugs.
Yeah, you don't have plugs who, and in a small space, the atmosphere, the vibe, bro. It's impacted by everyone who's there, right? And even the sessions where there's like one guy who doesn't quite fit that what we're describing. Mm-hmm. It kind of throws just a bit of a curveball and everything, where then they just weed themselves out, right?
Yeah, and there's like, we're like, it's pretty fortunate. Like, we're in a small area, but there's like 3 gyms, mm-hmm. right? So essentially, there's 2 in Coburg, and then we're kind of outside of that, like the actual town itself. So for people that like can't, that don't like fit the requirements or whatever, there's other options,
right?
Right. Same way like people in those other gyms may be looking for another option of like harder training. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and like harder, but also just more focused, right?
Yeah. Everyone's kind of on the same page. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We all have like a common goal of like, even if it's not like being the greatest jiu-jitsu competitors on earth, we're still, all of us want to be as good as we possibly can be,
right? And as efficiently and as quickly as possible too, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's also one of the big benefits of having a smaller gym, is that you don't have to cater to the beginners. Like, we're pretty good at like, some guy comes out who is super fresh. Okay, one of us will take them off to the side and go over just kind of the overall basics. So when it comes around to rolling, it's not like, you're saying I should pass guard. What's a guard? Or what's passing? Like they have some sort of idea of everything. But yeah, it's someone who's not willing to learn, not willing to grind, not willing to be uncomfortable in roles. It just doesn't happen,
Yeah. I think like also like, if you take yourself too serious, it's tough. Mm-hmm. It's tough. Yeah. The old ego.
The old ego. That's right.
Yeah. If you come in thinking like, I don't know, it's tough, man. You gotta be able to get smashed and be like okay with it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And be open, like you're saying, open to learning. Like, you don't know any, like, you come in, you don't know anything, essentially. Mm-hmm. And like, geez, we've been training for long enough, and it still feels like I don't know anything. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then you get caught by someone who's been coming out for 4 months, and the first 2.5, 3 months, you're just toying with them, right? Doing whatever you want. And then you get caught, and it's like the ego comes back a little bit there too. It's oh, it's like, did that really fucking happen? But realistically, it's like, okay, nice, better training partner. What we're doing is working. They're mm-hmm. getting better. Mm-hmm. They're getting significantly better, mm-hmm. fast.
Fast.
But yeah, it's easy to. The ego always wants to have the front seat.
Yeah. So yeah, not saying that we're not open to beginners, but
no, not at all. But you have to be willing to push through that. And even any gym you go to for jiu-jitsu, for a martial art, I think jiu-jitsu specifically, because you're getting held down by someone where you can't just like back up. You're striking, you can just back up and just stay out of range and be super cagey. Whereas, yeah, someone gets you on the ground and holds you there. There's no, quick escape route. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you gotta live there for a bit. Right.
This episode is sponsored by www.thefarm.com, because we don't have sponsors yet. Go to thefarmmma.com and buy our stuff. Well, thank you, Ben, for coming on the first episode, the Mat Chat. And guys, make sure that you follow the Instagram, the Farm MMA, and buy our merch.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And and as a ending message, also just thanks for the training. Like when I came back to Coburg, it was in a weird spot. So coming out here, not only just the training, getting better at jiu-jitsu, all that, but also just being able to talk to you, tell you what's going on, it has been, I can't really emphasize enough the impact that's had on my life of just moving forward in a positive way. So something to be said about that too.
Fire stuff.